Hey guys, Mah-Dry-Bread here with another episode of Payday 2 101. This time I'm live recording this. This is just going to be a quick little video targeted at very new players deciding exactly what they want to do with their skills and their trees, who want to understand exactly what the differences between the trees are and how you can mix them. So, if you have any friends that are first getting into this game, send it over their way. You can see here I'm going through, almost done my way through Infamy level 2. So, you will notice I do already have some skills, or some skill points spent in skills. Ignore that for now, it doesn't really have anything to do with the lesson I'm teaching today. So, there are 4 skill trees: Mastermind, Enforcer, Technician, and Ghost. These aren't perfectly exclusive or anything, you can put as many points in anything as you want. By level 100 you will have 120 points in the end, because every time you hit a 10th level, so level 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, or 100, you get a few bonus skill points, as well as the usual one you get just from leveling up. The only limits in how far you can get into each tree is how many points you spend. You'll see along the side here how many you need to spend total to get to that tier, so for 6th tier it's 40. You'll notice on Mastermind it's glowing blue and a lower number. That's entirely because of an infamy bonus. We'll get into that in a later episode. It won't affect you early on in the game. In fact, this one doesn't even affect my current build, but hey, I wanted to try out a Technician. Anyway, first is the Mastermind. I want to start off by saying you only really need one Mastermind per team on your average team. Unless you're going for something special, say, a lot of Death Wish stages, it's a good idea to have more than one person with Aced Inspire, a very high-level Mastermind ability. But, again, this is just super basic stuff I'm getting into. The role of the Mastermind, for the most part, is they're going to be giving a lot of buffs for the whole team, a buff being something that increases their stats or helps them in some way. They also run different kinds of support. For instance, they're the best medic in the game. They get all the medic abilities, say Combat Medic, where they give the person more health if they're the one who helped them up. And like I was saying before, Inspire. They help them up 50% faster, which is massive. And once it's aced, they can actually yell at team members to get them up instantly from a short distance, which is, as amazing as it sounds, it really is one of the best skills in the game. Along with that, they also have nice little support things like Dominator, allows you and the crew to intimidate non-special enemies to make them into hostages. Easier said than done, of course. It depends on the health, how many people are around them, many factors. I'm actually going to talk about the math behind Dominator in a later video more in detail, because I did find someone who actually figured out exactly how it works, so that's quite useful. Once you have someone who's cuffed themselves, you could then use Joker to turn them into an ally. They don't have a whole lot of health, I know they don't tend to last long, but they absorb bullets for you, and they kill a few enemies. So useful support things like that is what makes them very important. On top of that, they do get some weapon skills, mostly just in pistols, which can turn a pistol from below average secondary weapon to potentially quite a useful one, between Equilibrium and Gunslinger. If you're going through Mastermind, I do highly recommend both of these skills in most builds. And by the end of it, they're learning very useful things like Pistol Messiah, which, if you ace it at least, can get you back up by killing people with a pistol while you're down. And of course you have the early on basic things to help the whole crew, like Leadership for weapon stability, and Endurance for stamina. Although, most people tend to have Endurance aced, no matter your build. It's a pretty standard thing for people to have. And it's got one of the most important skills in the game for leveling up, Fast Learner. Fun fact about Fast Learner, I'm sure I'll bring this up again in other videos later. The way Fast Learner works, it says here that your crew gains 30% more experience when you complete days and jobs. Some guides out there will tell you that you don't need this aced as long as one person on the crew has it. That is a lie. I've actually tested that on the current patch numbers. Even if you're teaming with someone with aced Fast Learner and you only have basic, you're not getting as much experience as if you have it aced yourself. So always ace Fast Learner, and if you're level 100 and you don't want to go Infamy at the time, you can always respec it and spend those skill points somewhere else. So, just so you know, you actually do need this aced. Don't listen to what some of the guides will tell you. I've tested this. You can test it yourself if you'd like. So that's the role of the Mastermind again. In your average in your average crew, if you're building a crew around, like, each other's builds will mesh together well, and you're in a set crew, you only really need one hardcore mastermind. Unless you're doing Death Wish, in which case it might be a good idea to have more than one person with Inspire. But we'll get into that in later videos. Next is the Enforcer. The Enforcer is, of course, the big, heavy, hard-to-kill, loud guy. Don't have many of it in my current build, but I did run an Enforcer for an entire 100 levels when I went to Infamy level 1. So, Enforcer is a very, very fun one. They're also probably the easiest class to level through after you have Fast Learner. I found the Enforcer very beginner-friendly, definitely very, very fun, very fast-paced. It doesn't have anything that really helps you in stealth, of course, other than Transporter, which is always useful, carrying throwbags faster and farther. But its focus is on dealing a lot of damage, being able to take a lot of damage, and ammo bags. That's pretty much the long and short of it. They're the only class in which you'll be using shotguns with. Shotguns are fairly useless for everyone else. I'd highly recommend against using shotguns, unless you're an Enforcer. But if you are an Enforcer, you absolutely, absolutely, absolutely need to get the shotgun perks. You want Shotgun Impact Aced, you want Shotgun CQB, you at least want it basic, you might not end up getting it aced, mileage may vary, and hard-boiled, you should probably get that basic but not aced. The reason for this is because once you've done these upgrades to shotguns, along with the overkill upgrade of when you kill someone with a shotgun, you do 75% more damage for 5 seconds, and Aced Iron Man, where you're wearing the heaviest armor in the game and you can shoot from the hip while sprinting, you become quite the force to be reckoned with. Other useful things in this that particularly stand out would be Die Hard. When aced, your armor recovers 15% faster. Doesn't seem like much, it's kind of a big deal though. Stun resistance. Flashbangs in this game can absolutely devastate your team. Anything you can do to make it so flashbangs don't last as long is actually quite a big deal. Tough Guy reduces the camera shake. It's kinda nice, it's only 1 point. Ammunition Specialist, you have 2 bags instead of just 1, and if you ace it, 200% more ammo. Having at least 1 guy on the team with Ammunition Specialist aced makes a massive, massive difference. And of course, you get the portable saw. I wouldn't recommend upgrading the saw at all with things like Carbon Blade or acing portable saw, but a buzzsaw is a great utility item on a lot of stages, and it makes things like transport stages much faster and safer. In fact, it's a must if you're going to do it on Death Wish. So, all around, it's all about being tough, being able to take a lot of damage, and being able to deal a lot of damage very quickly and reliably. All around, they're very, very good. It's the only place where you're going to get real health upgrades. You get it as tier bonus, usually. And you get a little bit in oppression, which keeps enemies kind of at bay. I've never found it to have a very strong effect, but I'm doing more research into that, actually, day by day, because I feel like it may be a hidden gem. I just have a feeling about it. Next is onto Technician, which is actually what I've been messing around with right now, because prior to this, I'd never really played a Technician outside of the first Payday game, Payday the Heist. So, I have a newfound appreciation for the Technician. That being said, you really only need 1 hardcore Technician on the team if you're going to even have one on the team. They're very, very useful on a lot of heists, but you could do without one. But a good Technician on the team is a very good addition to the team, and in fact, you'll find Enforcers often spend the second most points in Technician, because Technician is also quite a beefy class that can absorb a lot of damage, so you'll find a lot of people running both Enforcer and Technician. In this, you find a lot of nice utility things, like for instance, you get your trip mines here, where you can set up booby trap areas, basically, to blow up people as they come through. And you can use this very strategically with Combat Engineer, which allows you to actually switch it to a sensor mode, so you'll get a beep when people walk by it, instead of it blowing up. It's very useful because you know when someone's sneaking up behind you, you can shoot the explosive to blow it up when a lot of enemies are in the room, and use it more like C4 rather than using it as a trip mine that could potentially kill very few people. You can later actually turn it into C4 with aced-shaped charges and use it to blow open things like safes or locked doors. This is incredibly useful in many, many stages, and it's a very, very useful utility. They also get all the upgrades to the drills, which can make it fix it faster, or you can make it so it fixes faster, has a chance of fixing itself, You can have it so it drills faster, which is massive, and you can also make it silent so that if you're doing a stealth mission, less chance of people hearing the drill. Later, you can learn incredible abilities like Bulletproof, what I consider to be one of the strongest in the game, where Bulletproof Aced makes it so not only do you have much heavier armor, without weighing you down at all, it's just it can absorb more damage, the entire crew has an increased recovery rate of their armor. This is a must for most crews, for at least one person to have aced Bulletproof for the whole crew. Early on, you have some nice things for single-shot weapons and assault rifles or snipers. This also has, unfortunately, a lot of junk skills you'll probably not use. For instance, this entire sentry tree, either you get sentry guns and fully upgrade them, or you don't get sentry guns at all, because they're quite useless if you're not going to fully upgrade them like I have here. If you fully upgrade them, they're very, very good, but if you're not going to fully upgrade them, don't even buy them. That being said, when I'm talking about useless things, I'm talking about all of these. If you're not going sentry guns, that's useless to you. Improved crafting, that's useless to you. A lot of the tier bonuses decreases the cost of crafting weapons and masks, useless. Stability 5%, useless. Mask crafting. The only good tier bonuses are the armor you get here, and of course, headshot damage tier bonus is actually quite useful. No, this does not apply to sniper rifles, right. You also get Meg Plus, which is often people don't take. You have more ammunition in the weapon magazine, but I think you get the gist of what Technician is. You're kind of beefy, you have a lot of utility things, like Nerves of Steel take 50% less damage while interacting with things. That's very useful. And you have the utility things that also help with combat, such as trip mines and sentry guns. Overall, you're not going to be dealing as much damage as the Enforcer, of course, however, you tend to be pretty hard to kill and very useful to the team. Lastly, we have Ghost. A lot of Ghost is based around only really being useful in stealth missions, although it does still have very useful things that any given person could find useful. In fact, what I have here, either than SMG Specialist, I would recommend most people have. Sprinter Aced. You sprint faster. This is a very big deal. Fast Hands Aced. I would recommend everyone has Fast Hands Aced. You interact and pick up loot bags 50% faster. This is a huge deal for leapfrogging bags to safe locations. And lastly, getting basic Shinobi. You walk and crouch walk significantly faster. This is quite a big deal. You also get other things which mileage will vary on how useful they are. Cleaner is very useful on a stealth mission, for instance. You can bag more bodies and buy an asset so that you have more body bags for the whole team. That's useful if you're doing stealth missions. Chameleon, you can mark guards and cameras while in casing mode before you've masked up, and your concealment is lower. This one, not many people tend to get. It's kind of more of a good thing for a medic, but I'll go into that when I get to my medic video. A lot of these abilities are a bit spotty. Martial arts, knock people down with melee strikes, SMG Specialist is a nice one if you don't have any kind of secondary you specialize in. Reload speed of SMGs is up, the rate of fire for SMGs is iffy. Where it really shines is once you get into 4th tier and above, where it gets expensive. ECM Specialist, you have 2 ECM jammers for shutting down cameras and even delaying pagers once you have it aced. And, of course, stopping phone calls. Good for when you rush in. ECM Overdrive, you can now open electronic doors with ECMs. Lockpicking Expert, you can pick the locks on safes by hand silently. You can also open any other lock very quickly. 9 lives, a lot of people like this one. You have 1 more bleed out before going into custody. That can be nice sometimes. Moving target's useless. I don't care what anyone says, moving target's useless. It's sprint while strafing and then sprint in any direction. It's, not good. ECM Feedback, this is one that you'll see almost no pro players have, almost no one talks about it, but it is a lifesaver. You can turn an ECM, even one that's already been used. You can flick on your ECM, and for a large radius, it'll make a bunch of enemies you're fighting start holding their ears and be unable to fight back. This is an incredible ability that, what a geek, if you watch my videos where I just play with my team, Payday 2 A Journey, then you'll see What a Geek saves us quite a few times with this ECM feedback. And lastly, we have Camera Loop here, which allows you to actually make it so a camera is non-functional temporarily without breaking it and without using an ECM, just by interacting with it. The Ghost is definitely very heavily based around stealth. It has a few things that are useful outside of stealth. SMG Specialist, for instance. Cat Burglar, so you can fall from higher heights. Things like Silent Killer and the Professional. Some people can run a decent Silent Killer build where they get quite a bit of damage out of actually having a silencer on. It's atypical. It's not the greatest thing in the world always, but it can really work, and it gets you the tier bonus of being slowed down less by armor. There are times when it can work and you can get into a build. You can really mix any two trees that you would like to, and it won't be particularly useless. There is some way to get any two trees to work together. When I say two trees, it's because you don't really have enough skill points to get much out of focusing on three trees. You get spread too thin and won't have what you really need. You really do need to get to the higher tier of some of these things. So what I would recommend for beginning players watching this video, and I'm guessing if you're watching this video it's because you're a new player and you want to learn these classes, I highly recommend you go heavily into Enforcer early on. It's the best way to learn the game, and if the time ever comes that you want to try something else, all you have to do is hit the respec button. You get half of your money that you've spent back. On my Enforcer tree, that's not much, but whatever. You get half the money back, you get all the skill points back, and you can respend it. As long as you have a decent amount of spending cash, you can do this all the time, really. It's not particularly expensive. Mind you, costs less once you've gone to Infamy level 1. However, still, money's not hard to come by. Money's tight early in the game, but by high level of not even gone Infamy 1, just by the level 80s, money quickly becomes never an issue again. At least not spending cash. So I hope that gave you an overview of the general role of all of these people, which would be all-around support and medic, heavy hitter and tank, utility, kind of tank, and stealth with a bit of damage and utility. And I hope that from there you're interested and you can figure out what you want to start going into. My next videos, probably, for this series, will be going to very general builds for each one of these. I'll explain how they work, and why you might want to do them. Just a heads up, they will all incorporate Fast Learner, because they are all designed to be very beginner-friendly. And this is something you're supposed to be able to level up through until you get to level 100 when I get into more advanced builds. And hope you guys stick around for that. Again, if you check out the description, you'll find things like the playlist of this series, Payday 2 101. You'll also find the Facebook fan page, as well as my Twitter. And lastly, you'll find my Steam group, where if you want to find a crew and you don't have any of your friends play this game, and you want to find a crew to play the game, then join the Steam group and talk to people there. Until next time, have a nice day.